This is the Peugeot e-Partner, a Stellantis small van that, like all the other Stellantis small vans, has had an all-electric makeover. Now, we've just had the Citroën e-Berlingo in, and if you've watched that review, then a lot of the things I've discussed there are going to be pretty much the same here. The range is the same, the motor's the same, the battery packs are the same size, the dimensions are pretty much the same because it's pretty much the same van. So when you do have platform sharing electric vans, the thing you have to do is look for the places where they are truly different. And on the Peugeot e-Partner, that's the cabin. So let's start there. So the cabin, why is it different? Well, Peugeot have this thing called the iCockpit layout for their cabins. And it's not just a cabin layout, it's actually used throughout their car offering. Now Peugeot, say what you like about them, there's a certain coq au vin, a je ne sais quoi, something I can't really put my finger on about, but I genuinely believe it's the iCockpit layout. The most prominent thing that you're going to notice in here, aside from the screens, which seem to be absolutely everywhere, is the little tiny steering wheel, which has flat top and flat bottom, loads of controls, and it looks like something out of Buck Rogers, you know, I mean, it's absolutely futuristic in here. Behind the steering wheel, you've got a fully digital instrumentation readout, which is very nice, very clear. The battery charge level indicator is incredibly clear. There's no confusion there. It's a very sort of statement in your face. You have 98% battery power left, and that translates to X amount of range. You've got on the other side a kind of how you're driving indicator, whether you're driving with regenerative braking and actually pulling some power back into the battery, or whether you are just literally gunning it foot to the floor and draining those batteries faster than I drain a McDonald's milkshake. You've also got the nice big screen in the center here, great infotainment display. Stellantis have this kind of nailed really. It's nice and intuitive. You've got that kind of touch button functions on the outside. Again, very techy, the kind of thing that you expect from a nice modern electric van. Below that, you've got your hard climate controls, and I'm a big fan of twiddly knobs for climate controls because I don't like having to use touchscreens to adjust how warm I am. I just don't think that as a human being, I should have to do that. I want to just twiddle a knob. And I'm going to bypass that one very, very fast. Now there's some storage under here, there's a nice little area down here, but of course it's an electric vehicle, it's automatic, there's no manual gear changing required, you've just got a very simple drive selector switch here. Parking function at the top, reverse, neutral, drive in the middle, and down the bottom a button that you can press that engages regenerative braking. What that does is basically when you lift your foot off the accelerator, it's kind of a simulation of engine braking, but what it's actually doing is drawing power back into the batteries and thereby extending your range. Now just to kind of clarify that, WLTP figures on the range for these particular small vans is around 170 miles. In fact, if you want to get specific, it's 171 miles. Now, the way you achieve that kind of range is by using regenerative braking. At the moment, I'm sitting here with a nearly 100% charge on the battery, and I've got an indicated range of 157 miles. Now, the way I'm going to get those extra 20 is by using regenerative braking. Now, of course, I saw some comments on the previous review that we did for the Citroën e-Berlingo saying it wouldn't have taken you long to take it out driving. So what I did today was, before we charged it all back up so that I could do this bit in the review, was we took it out on the road. I shoved 4 pickup track alloy wheels in the back of it and we drove for a while. And basically what I saw was that the range when I got in was indicating around 157. Well, I know that I drove around 20-30 miles, but I actually lost around 40 miles of range. It's a little bit cold today. There's lots of environmental things that can pull the range down. And I'm not saying they're deal breakers, but we just have to face the reality. We're still almost at the kind of infancy, embryonic stage of electric vehicles being something that you can grab hold of and drive, and they'll be as practical as diesel or petrol equivalents. But what I will say is that these vehicles, they perform quite well, and actually, in a very rare instance, the WLTP range, while you might not necessarily always hit 171, for real world, that indicator of 157 is probably about right. Very cool to see. I mean, aside from that, in the cabin, you've got some overhead storage, you've got a nice little flip up bit here, you've got your standard glove box, you've got door storage, and you've got a bench seat for 2 people, although I will say, it's a small van, so it's going to be a little bit cramped in here. Whoever gets to sit in the middle, they're going to get their knees bashed into on the front here, and they're also going to be awkwardly rubbing knees with the person next to them, but it is what it is. It's a small van, it's electric, it's modern. Okay, so it does well in the cabin. Let's go to the other place that a vehicle like this has to do well. Let's head to the cargo area. Stellantis small vans are pretty good. I mean, when it comes to the cargo area, they're actually more than pretty good. They have incredible accessibility. You've obviously got the back doors here, which are a kind of a 60-40% configuration. Big door that side, slightly smaller door this side. Now, a lot of manufacturers have to make some compromises on dimensions when they're sticking battery packs in, but do you know what? Stellantis, fair play to them. They know that these vans have to work. They know that transitioning to electric isn't just something you can do and kind of forgive and forget and kind of push a few things to the side or make compromises. So what they've done is they've slung all the battery packs under the bottom of the floor of the cargo area, meaning that the cargo area's dimensions, all of which will be whizzing around me right now, including the payload, they've stayed exactly the same. Now, payload is lower, as you'd expect, by around 200 kilograms than the diesel version, but it's, you have to make some trade-off. Obviously, the extra weight of the battery just brings down the amount of weight that you can carry because you're already carrying a little bit more. So when I said you don't have to make that many compromises, you have to make 200 kilograms of compromise, but I think you'll agree it's probably not the worst thing in the world. This is a small van, so high-density loads, that's all good. It's all well and good. Anyway, if you're still having a few niggles in the brain, even when I've spoken about range and how the loading area has not been compromised whatsoever, let's go to the one final area where the Peugeot e-Partner might just tip you over the edge and into getting an electric van for your next van. This right here is what I hope is going to set aside any range anxiety you might have. I've been told by countless van drivers across the UK that the two major things that stop them from jumping over into the electric van world is range anxiety and is actually driving an electric van going to affect my bottom line positively? Well, the second one, yes, if you lease it. The first one, yes, if you get a van that comes with a rapid charge capable charging port as standard. Because with 171 miles range WLTP, 157 real world, being able to charge up rapidly at a CCS 100 kilowatt rapid charger is fantastic. And to be fair, how often do you actually drive 160 miles a day? If you lease it with us as well, you get yourself a free home charging box, which means you can charge overnight. So I don't understand where people get to when they start thinking about, I'm going to be running out of range, this just couldn't possibly work for me, because actually, that's fair enough, that's your view, that's your opinion, but when you have this rapid charging capability and a battery pack that's capable of 160 miles, thereabouts, I feel like you're kind of set. Hey look, I could be wrong, let me know in the comments below. And with that, I think it's pretty much time to wrap it up. So I'm going to go back to the front to do that. So, how do we finish this one? Well, having just reviewed the Citroën e-Berlingo, getting the Peugeot e-Partner in was a little bit of a head scratcher for me. I said at the end of the Citroën e-Berlingo that ultimately I believe that brand loyalty is going to be the thing that, actually determines which one of these many vans that are the same is the one you actually go for. But if I had to put any money on it, I would say that if you got into the front of the Peugeot e-Partner after getting into the front of any of the other Stellantis small vans, I think you'd plump for this one. Give it a try, see what you think. I think this one offers the best blend of a comfortable cabin and a business-like end. So I'd be interested to see what you think.